This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this, as you know, is an independent England supporters podcast. Now, as England supporters, we all have different ways of supporting the team, making the games as fun as possible, be it cheering, chanting, dressing up, different supporters group, be it Block 109, Three Lions Pride group, supporters football teams, or there's those who blog or vlog. And I guess I should include myself in that too. However, the one thing we do it all is the one aim of getting behind the team and hoping they succeed. And another one is, of course, the England band. I'm not sure I've ever aired my thoughts on this podcast, but some of my friends will know them. And I suppose I may come across as, I don't know, maybe a little hypocritical here, but I thought, well, we're all England fans, aren't we? But a while back, I posted on the England supporters Facebook page about supporters' memoirs in book form. I've read a couple, wanted to see if there were any more. Turns out there are. eBay, Amazon, and all of a sudden my postman is making regular deliveries of books. And one of them was Playing for England, the Early Years. It's about the England Band by John Hemmingham. Fun read, similar stories that we all have about following England. And it kind of gave me a little different perspective on it all. So I've invited John onto the podcast to tell us a little more about it. John, hello there.
Hi, Russell.
How are you?
Thanks for having me on. I'm all right, thanks, yeah.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate you getting in touch and stuff.
No, very welcome. As I say, perhaps I need to maybe open my ears, open my eyes a little bit more to yourselves. I mean, I'm fully aware of you guys in the Wembley Arena and being on away games. I've seen you outside. Where do I remember you? Playing outside Elland Road there and various places I've come across you, but I've never said hello. So, hello, welcome.
Yeah, well, feel free. We don't bite. We're all right, just like everybody else.
Well, I mean,
obviously we've been everywhere over the last 25 years, so you will have seen us, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say I've read the book. It takes us up to, 2000. So I know a little bit, but come on, just tell us a little bit more. How did it all start for those that perhaps don't know?
It all started just for a laugh, basically, at club level with Sheffield Wednesday. When I was a kid, I learned the bugle in the Cubs. Still playing it to this day, and including the last post last week. If that dates the podcast, I'm sorry about that, but. Right. Yeah, still doing it. So I learned the bugle when I was a kid, so that's like 7-8 years old, and then just left it till I was 30, and then bought myself one for a laugh at Christmas and took it to a match, which was Sheffield Wednesday was my club against Everton away, right. And went on a minibus with the lads and sneaked it up the jumper, took it in to the ground. We were winning 2-0. Away at Everton, which was great. Mark Bright and Carlton Palmer scored the goals. A header from Carlton Palmer, very unusual. And 10 minutes to go, and the lads are saying, "Go on, get it out." And I thought, well, I didn't know if I'd get chucked out or what had happened. So I thought there's only 10 minutes left. Got it out and played the fanfare to Aida, which is the bit before, which is what Wednesday sing when we score.
Right.
All over the continent as well. And so I did that and the crowd went mad. And then it was, do it again, mate, do it again. So I did it again and they went mad. And obviously winning 2-0 was great. So I thought nothing more of it. I thought that would be it. But Trevor Francis was the manager of Wednesday at the time. And he'd been manager at Sampdoria in Italy where they have the drums and all the rest of it. And he decided to find me. So he put an appeal out on the radio and saying, mystery bugler, can he come? And I sort of hid for a couple of weeks, and then it was in the paper, local paper. Can you find the mystery sort of bugler? Anyway, they found me, and I actually got a phone call, and I was in the bath, and it was over the Christmas holiday period. Right. And I don't know that I take the phone to the bath, by the way, but I'm in the bath, and the phone goes. Trevor Francis says, "How would you like to form a band?" And then the chairman of Wednesday, who was Dave Richards, later chairman of the FA, he phoned up and said, if you've got any mates, how do you fancy, Trevor's keen on this form of band. So I had a word with the lads, about 10 of us who had season tickets, and they said, "Oh, I won't mind banging a drum, and I won't mind blowing this." And anyway, cut a long story short, we did it, and because it's driven by passion and the will to spur the team on and support them, it worked.
Yeah.
And we got guys, and Murray, who's the main drummer that everybody will see and know as well, probably. He'd never banged a drum in his life. He took to it, obviously, and we went on our merry way for 3 years. Went to Arsenal away, just the two of us. Progressed to trumpet then, because you can play more notes on a trumpet than a bugle, so you can do more tunes.
Right.
We sort of touched on this before we started the podcast about Sheffield Wednesday and Arsenal rivalry. So we'd beaten Arsenal at home, not a problem, but never beaten them away in my lifetime. Still haven't. And we're winning 1-0 at Highbury. So there's a group midweek, a group of us, I don't know, maybe 1,500, something like that, going wild because we're winning at Arsenal. Unbeknown to me, there's Glenn Hoddle in the stand, obviously watching the players.
Because, of course, Glenn Hoddle was England manager at the time then.
England manager at the time, and he's watching the players, and as they do. He was watching us as well, and we're going crazy. There's no happy ending. We lost 4-1. But the next day, I got a phone call from David Davis, who was the chief executive of the FA at the time, if you remember. And he said, is this John? Yeah, John, yeah. Glenn Hoddle's asked me to give you a call. How would you like to play for England? Well, I was on the M62 at the time,
yeah,
and I had to pull over, welled up, tear in my eye, pulled over, and he explained, he'd seen us at Arsenal, loved the passion and all the rest of it. Would he do it for England? And would we ever?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we said, yeah, we would. Obviously, we've been to England games before anyway, but we said, we're not plastic fans, if you like. We do home and away. That was that. Fund ourselves, which we do. They said, fine. They'd look after us in the position in the ground and that kind of thing, and off we went. First game was against Poland, the old Wembley, of course. It seems like a lifetime away now because it was, it was 96, just after the Euros.
Right.
And Glenn Hoddle's first game. I mean, before that, we didn't realise, and we should have done, but we didn't realise how big it is, England and the interest in England. Because if you think, every Newcastle, Sunderland, Man United, Man City, Wednesday, United, Arsenal, Tottenham fan is an England fan, and multiply that by all the divisions, all the leagues, and everybody who ever kicked a ball. That's the amount of the fan base. So I mean, the press bombarded us, with stuff.
So playing at Wembley for that first time was, what did you say, 96 time? Had you been to Wembley as a Wednesday band before? Did you know the surroundings and the atmosphere that you could be?
No, we'd never been with Wednesday, but we'd been as normal fans before. If you like, the Scotland game, the one after they invaded the pitch, we've been to that, been to England, Argentina, England, Holland, and a few more before, but never obviously with a trumpet and drums and stuff. Yeah. So it was all new, and it was all new to the fans as well. And it's a harsh environment on that terrace, as you know.
Yeah.
There's no punches held back, shall we say, verbally or any otherwise. But we're proper fans, simple as that. We're hardened fans, and we know the crack, and we know the banter, and we know the sort of protocol and everything else. And we knew going on the terrace we were going to get some wag giving us a go, and still do. No. But we dropped in front of some Millwall fans, which was...
how did you know they were Millwall fans? Were they coloured up?
Because they were singing celery songs and things like that.
Gotcha.
So it's a bit of a giveaway, yeah. In front of them, and we're playing away, and you can imagine. And one of them came down and nicked one of the drummer's sticks,
right?
Who was a bit more timid than I am, and a couple of the other lads, and didn't want to go and get it back. So we went and got it back, simple as that, and gained a bit of respect, and off we went. And we went 1-0 down then, and we were so keen for it to go well, banging away and blowing away. And we thought, oh no, it's we're 1-0 down, and there is a happy ending to this one. We won 2-1. Alan Shearer dug us out. That was the beginning, off we went.
I mean, obviously the reaction on the terraces you mentioned there, but were people all of a sudden more aware of you guys then through that first England game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first time it's a new novel thing, and it's a bit of a thing. It was pre-social media and all the rest of it, which might have been a good thing, but it was all over the papers. The Sun came to my house and took photos of us, and we were looking for the article in the paper, starting at the front, which sports fans and football fans never do. They always start at the back.
Yeah.
Should have started at the back because it was the full back page.
Really?
And it was Glenn's Band of Hope and Glory, which was quite funny. So,
have you got that framed somewhere?
I've got it. No, not framed. I've got it somewhere in the loft, I think, in a box. But yeah, I've got it somewhere. It was quite a thing, to be honest. But we never saw any publicity or anything like that. We didn't know how to do it, what to do, or whatever. And we've come a cropper with the press before and dodgy journalists and things like that. Recently in Russia with the Independent stitching us up, which was a bit nasty, but there we go.
Yeah. You said that there's just a couple of you to start with, and it's grown. I'm looking at the book here. There's how many? 2, 4, 6, 8 of you on the front there. I mean, how many of you guys regularly go, and how many have there been? And I mean, you must almost be like the is it the Sugar Babes or something, where they've had so many different members?
Well, that's a first. I've never been like to them before. It's like any other thing. You get people who join, and we can be a bit harsh, to be honest, sometimes as fans, because like any group of fans, if you fit in, and group of mates, if you fit in, you fit in, and if you don't, you sort of drift away. And we've had that happen. We've probably had about, 40 or 50 people come and go. Sadly, we had Bram, I think, who was on the picture on the book here, who joined us when he was 78, I think. He died a couple of years ago. Saxophonist, fantastic fella. Great stories about him. One in France, particularly, where if you've read the book, where he decided to dance on the tables, but there was a guy he got one on one table and one on the other, and he ended up going through the gap. 80 odd. He was a bank manager all his life, when bank managers were all staid and straight and white collar, tie up to the top, all of that. And his family thought he'd gone mad when he joined us, and he was doing all these things. Anyway, he fell down, did his knee in, and he's saying, "Don't tell the wife." But unbeknown to him, there was a load of reporters all around, and he appeared on the and finally on ITN with Trevor McDonald.
Oh, really?
And finally, there's an injury to the England squad, but it's not the team. It's Bram Denton, 81 or whatever, and he's saying, "Don't tell the wife." The next thing he's on news at 10. Very funny. But yeah, there's been a lot come and go through the years. There's a hardcore of probably 6, 7 who have stuck through thick and thin, but the sort of attendance reflects the whole England support, really. There's some like myself, Murray on the drum, will go to every single game regardless. Yeah. And then there's others who will do as many as they can, but work commitments, that kind of thing. And there's some that only do the home games. So it's a fair reflection of the support. The one thing that we root out very quickly is if you're not a fan, if you're not a proper fan and you're doing it for the right reasons, you don't last very long. It's simple as that. If you've got the passion and you want to support the team and you're doing it purely for that, that's fine by us. Quality comes second, as everybody will know.
I was going to say, because you're not exactly. Well, I say it in the nicest possible way. You're not proper musicians.
No.
Having said that, you've done a fair few records, though.
We have, yeah. I mean, we have had proper musicians, and they can't do it. They don't know what to do. They don't know when, because we're just like the guy who starts to chant off anywhere, And we have a phrase when somebody, says that kind of thing to us. We say, well, you're not Pavarotti. We're not judging your singing on the terrace, and we're not the Halle Orchestra, But we are absolutely bang on at creating an atmosphere and support, and so are the guys who start the chants and everything else.
Yeah.
So but we've done as a sort of byproduct a few records and had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, we have.
You must have met a few people on the way. Well,
that's another thing which has been fun. We've met all kinds of people, and just on the records, we got a call in the 90s before France 98 from Richard Branson, which is a funny one, because every time he makes a call, his secretary has to ring first, because everybody says, get away. Who is it really? You're not Richard Branson, who are you? So he got fed up of having that conversation every time. So his secretary phones and says, you're going to get a call from Richard Branson. And lo and behold, we did. And he said, would we sign for his record label and all the rest of it. He did say, when you're down in London, come for lunch, but that never happened.
Right.
But so, yeah, I mean, we did. And we made the Great Escape record with a video at City Airport and all over the place. Which was a fun thing for us. Jeff Hurst was in the video, so we met Jeff, Paul Walsh, and a few others, Stan Bowles as well, and it was just good fun and an eye opener for us, because we never thought we'd do anything like that or ever be in anything like that. We just treat it as a laugh, and we still do. To be honest, we've no ambitions to be the next pop stars or whatever. And so we just treat it as a laugh, and we had a real scream with it.
Are you still technically signed to Virgin Records or V2, whatever they are? Or did you get your cut off?
Well, we've never made any money out of any record ever.
Really?
So whether that's because I don't know how to claim the royalties or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, we did that one. Then we did the Three Lions remix. Trevor Horn, the Buggles guy, what a laugh he had, because he usually gets serious musicians in, and he got us in. And
was he aware of you guys?
Sorry?
Was he aware of you guys?
Yeah, he was, yeah. Yeah, he was aware of us. We walked into his studio, and Robbie Williams was coming down the stairs. I'm like, well, hey, Robbie, all right. So, but he usually, and he said this afterwards, usually has to, people have got egos and they want it absolutely to be bang on and all the rest of it. And we were just playing away and having fun, and in the end he came out of his studio and joined in, having a laugh with us in there, which was fabulous. And we got the photos and everything else. But yeah, we did that one. We did We're on the Ball, which was my idea for Ant and Dec. They did it, and We're on the Ball, which Danny Baker used to get, because Danny Baker had us on his 606 show.
Yeah,
I can't speak highly enough of Danny. He's a proper fan. Obviously, Millwall fan again. There's a Millwall theme going on here. Millwall fan, but we went out for a drink with him after we'd done the show and talked about previous games and characters on the terrace and things like that. And both a similar era, and we knew exactly the games and the scorers and everything else. Genuine fan, and he just said, if any time you're passing, in London, come on 606. And we tried it one time after West Ham away. And yeah, let us straight in the studio, and we were in having a laugh. And
did he?
Brilliant. Yeah, and from that Danny's worked with Chris Evans on TFI Friday.
Yeah. So
we ended up on TFI Friday twice as well, which was a laugh. They dressed us as nuns one time, but again, just for fun, it was just an absolute scream. So we did that. Then I got a call from Chaz Smash from Madness.
Okay.
Who wanted to do a record, and all these strange people that actually it sounds a bit daft, this, but they're just like you and I, just exactly as everybody else is. There's this sort of myth about celebrities: you get your good ones, your bad ones, and like everybody else. So Chaz Smash phones up, can we do this record? Yeah, we did it. Went down to his studio, and the guys said we thought they were mad until you lot came down. Because we did the record, and then we did a version of Streets of London in Yorkshire, in Yorkshire accents, because I play the piano as well, and they were just on the floor rolling around laughing. If anybody ever gets hold of that is a very, very funny thing.
Oh, okay, I'll have to have a look out for that one.
Yeah, so we did that, and then we'd done one with Chris Kamara. Chris Kamara, what a laugh he is. He's another great guy, and he did You're Just Too Good to Be True with him, and then a couple of our own, which again were great fun. One called Kabanga, which we shot in 48 locations all over the country in 3 days.
Wow.
I've never been as tired in my life. But again, that was a really good one and good fun with a guy, just an ordinary fan called Paul, Chelsea fan, who'd written it, and he somehow got the people on board who did the meerkat thing, which was one of our best wind-ups for one of the lads. Came from that. Absolutely hilarious. Where after we'd done everything, we had him on that they wanted him to become the human meerkat. They were going to do a human version, and he was hook, line and sinker, taken in by it. We had him going to auditions in Manchester, and we always booked these auditions when there was a game or something that we were doing, and they had to phone me up. We'd already set it up and tell me why he couldn't come, and it was never because I'm going to be the human meerkat. Because we told him to be, we told him to keep it secret. The studio had said it mustn't get out, so he was telling us he was going to his uncle's daughter's wife's christening in Bridlington when he's supposed to be going to this interview. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious.
I mean, because reading the book, you guys get up to I don't know, is mischief the right word, or some funny things? One of the good ones I saw was when you were racing airport trolleys around a car park after kipping the night in a van. And all of a sudden, there's a lot more England supporters were joining you for some sort of trolley Grand Prix.
That was it. Yeah, it was a car park in Sweden,
right?
And there was an island in the middle, and it just lent itself to this airport trolley Grand Prix. And it was really foggy, and the flights had been delayed. So there's like loads of England fans, nothing to do. And we'd got this minibus. We couldn't find the hotel because it was so foggy, and it was freezing, absolutely freezing. So we thought we've got to get out and warm up. So we had this trolley Grand Prix around this island in the car park. And loads of England fans came out with a trolley. And we're doing this trolley Grand Prix around the thing. There were people going over the top of the trolleys and people in them, shoving them and all the rest of it. It was a sight to behold, actually. And then we all calmed down. We got back in the minibus, freezing to death. And we ended up, 2 West Ham fans had come in with us. They had to leave because... to be honest, the number of farts in the van had got too much for them, and they couldn't stand it anymore, so they went out. And we sat in the van, and we get a knock on the side of the door, and we're like, "It's not, like 3 a.m, freezing cold in Sweden." Another knock, like, "Oh, have a look, open the door." 2 policemen, and there's this empty car park with about 300 spaces in it, and we'd parked in the police-only car park space. and they said, "Can you move your van? You're in our space." So we had to move it 1 space to the left when there's all these other things there. So we did that, moved it. Woke up in the morning, if any of us got any sleep, and we thought, we'll go and find some breakfast. So we went out of the car park, turned left and left again, and found the hotel that we should have been in the night before.
Sod's law. I mean, I guess... was that pre sort of social media days where no one would have had a video of you guys racing around a car park?
Absolutely, yeah. It was all that would be like 99, I think, something like that, when we did that. And it was all pre-social media and stuff. Phones were quite novel. Yeah. But then another one in Germany, and we got Bernie Clifton joined the band.
I read that.
Yeah. And again, another test. We're not having you, Burn, if you're just wanting to resurrect your career or whatever. And anyway, he's mad as a box of frogs. He is.
Is he?
And his first time, we were having a meal in a restaurant in Germany, and we'd finished, and he's just gone to the toilet. So I had a word with the owner and said, "Look, we're all going to go round the corner like we've done a runner. We'll pay you now. He's in the toilet. When he comes out, will you just do your best run in German at him that we've all done a runner and he's got to pay the bill?" So we're around the corner. It's his first trip, this. He's not sure what we're like. And this guy, big, massive German guy, talk about winning an Oscar for his performance. He's also blasted into him. And he's like, oh, I'll pay. No problem, I'll pay. And he's going, England. And he's going like, we were in stitches around and then obviously we came back around the corner. Hilarious.
I mean, just going back to what you said about the records where you'd made no money from it. I mean, I guess one of the things that people may say, sort of, I guess they may have some sort of preconceptions about you guys that, I don't know, you've been sort of sponsored by, is it Pucker Pies and the Sun as well, have obviously given you sort of a leg up here and there. I mean, how do you sort of react to that? People saying that you're funded to go to England games.
Yeah, well, we've learnt a lot over the years, and the reason why we sort of took that route was because some of the lads just couldn't afford it,
right.
And lasses. They just couldn't afford to go. They could do their home games, no problem, but they just didn't have the money to go to the away games. So we thought, well, what can we do to try and help the situation and get along? And the whole idea being that there's more of us, there's more noise and more support, and it works. And if we have to do a bit of sponsorship work, then fine as well. So yeah, we did a bit with the Sun. That was that was quite a funny phone call. Not dodging your question for a minute, but that was great when I got the phone call first. How would you like to go to the World Cup in France, which we're going anyway, and spend a fortnight in the south of France on a top double-decker bus with Melinda Messenger?
I mean, no one's really going to say no, are they?
Well, you can imagine I had to do that phone call about 10 times to the lad. It was like shut up, So that was great, that was fine. And then the Book of Pies thing was all right. I mean, they're football related, and obviously, who don't like a pie? And again, it just helped get people to the games who couldn't really afford it. We don't do it now because we've learned a few lessons and maybe taken on board some comments, and we're a bit wiser now because of what we've been through and learned and all the rest of it. So now we don't mind doing things because again, it's expensive watching England away and World Cups and tickets and all the rest of it. So if that helps us get to the games and helps fund the tickets and whatever, then that's the way we look at it. And if we can have a laugh on the way, then even better. That is the philosophy. It's as simple as that.
Of course. I mean, and you certainly do have a lot of fun. But I mean, you mentioned sort of the negative comments that do come your way. How do you deal with those? Because I mean, I'm sure you must think, are we really doing the right thing here? Do people like us? Do people get what we're trying to do? Yeah, well, we when we first started, obviously no social media, but when social media came on, we got quite hurt by it because, we are genuine fans. We do it for the right reasons. It's driven by passion. And, we speak to, occasionally when you get a chance to speak to players and things, they all say, when they can hear the sort of drums banging on and the crowd going and the fans and everything, it gives them a boost. And that's good enough for us, so that's fine. So we know that it's appreciated by the team and the majority of fans, but then you get the odd one, and it did hurt at first. But then you realise that, especially with social media, usually it's guys who aren't there. They're not at the game for a start because we don't get any. We used to call them dissenters in the crowd, and at first you got a few dissenters, and all it is in a live situation is it's a test. Really, it's like anything on the terraces. It's a bit of banter and all the rest of it, and it's just a test. I'm going to see if these guys are genuine, and if they are up for a crack and all the rest of it, and we are, and we've got brilliant comebacks, even if I say so myself. But more recently, and I say more recently, like probably last 10 years or whatever, if it ever happens live, and it genuinely doesn't happen live, but if it did, the fans around us are the ones that are doing the banter and getting back at the guy or whoever that's shouted and had a go. And that now happens on social media. It's usually people who don't go to the games. They sat at home watching the game in their armchair, and they've got the sound on and they can hear a drum, and it's really upsetting. Well, get to the game, or turn your sound down. One of those. It's as simple as that. And we don't get affected by it at all. I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Murray, the other sort of diehard with us, he's on Twitter. But once you realise that that's the situation, it's just, and like I said before, the size of the England support is massive. You can't please everyone. But one thing we can say is once people get to know us and get to know what we like, there's no problem at all. I mean, I've sat next to people on planes on the way to away games. Never said a word about what that we're in the band or whatever. There was a guy recently, Tony from West Ham, and chatting away and having a right laugh, and on the way back even better. And then he sort of twigged. He said, well, you're in the band, aren't you? I says, yeah. He says, well, you're all right. I says, you know what? Funnily enough, we are all right, Tony. He said, well, I can see that. He says, I know that now. All the rest of it. And it's just simply a case of that. And
we've done it ourselves. You know, you mentioned these. Not that we class ourselves as a celebrity, but when we've met, we were on Richard and Judy years ago.
Oh, right. Never thought Richard and Judy had been mentioned on this podcast.
Well, there you go. You know. And Richard was great, and Judy wasn't so good. But she, you know, we only meet them for 15 minutes, and she had an off day. But you don't realise until you actually meet someone what they like and what drives them and all the rest of it. So preconceptions of anybody now is something I just don't do. You know, just take people as how you find them. We do it. You won't do it for this long if you weren't genuine with us. 25 years, you know, travelling and following the team and all the rest of it, and having great times and bad times and everything else, just like everybody else. Yeah. And we wouldn't last on that terrace if we weren't right. The England fans would not have us on that terrace. It's as simple as that. You know.
Yeah, very true. I mean, whilst you are on the terrace and standing at the back of Wembley up against the wall there, how do you decide what to play, when to play it, maybe when supporters are getting a chant going? I mean, there has been talk of the band overplay us chanting and other things like that. How do you decide, or how does it work with you guys standing there, your cue to play?
Yeah, well, it's usually it's spontaneous for a start, and it's just like any other fan who starts a chant, who has the biggest mouth. We have the biggest mouth with the instruments, you know, and you just know when to play and when not to play. Which is, I mean, I hinted about getting proper musicians in, which we never sought to get them in. They just happened to be, and they've no idea when to start a chant, you know. And it's happened in club football where they've got, you know, they decided to get some trained musicians, no idea what to do. The only one song that we play, and you'll be familiar with that, is the national anthem at the beginning of the second half.
Yes.
Everybody knows that's sort of the fans' version of the national anthem by the fans, from the fans. Second half, that's the only thing that we do that's, you know, pre-planned.
Yeah.
Everything else, it depends on what happens on the pitch and what goes on. And we never, ever purposely play over any other chant at all. There's a few exceptions there, but if we think something is aggressive, foul and abusive, racist even, which, again, doesn't happen in England fans anymore. No. It just doesn't happen. Then we might decide to just play something else more positive. But as far as, you know, if we hear anybody else starting a chant, we want to encourage that chant because it's support for the team. You know, there's no way we will ever play over anything on purpose. The only occasion would be if we've not heard it, and that can happen because you can start a chant at the same time.
Yeah. You
know, one in one section, one in another, and it's just not the case. You know, we don't ever purposely play over any other fan trying to you know, start a chant.
Yeah.
You know, then our mate Tango starts a load of chants, you know, and he'll start them and we'll join in and try and boost it. And that's what we generally try and do. You know, if we hear a chant going, we'll try and join in and give it a boost, or obviously start our own if there's nothing going, or if we feel like the team needs a bit of a boost, or, you know, if we've just conceded, there's certain songs you might play, and if we've scored, there's others we'll play, and everything else. We you know, we're in it together. That's it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? But we are in it together. It's as simple as that.
I did read, I don't know if this one's true, but you've never played or you won't play Three Lions. Is that true?
No, it's not true.
No.
And anybody who went to Russia will know that for a fact, you know, and you can check it out. But David Baddiel said it. He said it. We bumped into him in Japan at something. I can't remember what it was. That was another bizarre thing. We were watching a game, and there's David Baddiel and Nick Hancock there. Yeah. And he said, "How come you never play Three Lions?" You know, and we didn't play it a lot in the early days. We didn't, but we now do, because it wasn't adopted by the fans initially. It was a great song, and is a great song, fabulous. You know, in fact, probably the best record ever about England. And we didn't, but we do now, and we did in Russia, and we we do before. We'll play anything that's positive and fans join in with. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And they do now with Three Lions.
We're now speaking middle of November. We're in the middle of an international break. We've just played Ireland. We've got Belgium coming up. What's it like sitting at home? Is your trumpet sitting next to you? Do you trumpet on the sofa, as it were?
I did think about that, but I thought, no, that's a bit sad. But the first games, first ones we've missed for like 20 odd years. It was a bit of a wrench, to be honest, because we love it so much, the travelling and the team and the fans and the banter and everything else, and it's just been taken away from everybody, hasn't it? And it's so gutting. And like you say, at the moment, we'd have been going to Iceland for the first time to get revenge for the worst England game I've ever seen, and all the other trips as well. Belgium, we'd hop on and through the tunnel and away, and fantastic trips, all taken away, and it's just it is gut wrenching, and can't wait to get back at it like everybody else, I'm sure.
Yeah, hoping that the March games, come the World Cup qualifiers, will all be there. Have you met Gareth Southgate?
No,
you haven't. So do you know his opinions on the band?
Sorry, his opinion? No, we met the Gareth Southgate looky-likey in Russia. he sort of sorted us out, and he figured that if he got near us, he might get on telly, and he did. He was all right as well. Yeah. But no, we sort of don't really get in touch with the players, as normal fans don't get in touch with the players, do you? And there's no access and no reason, whatever, to speak to him, or there's no line of contact at all. We do speak to the travel club people and things like that, but not the players, and not Gareth Southgate. Okay. We once went to, I think 10 years in, we had a trip to watch him train when it was McLaren who was manager, and met them and saw him training. Sometimes you see these draws, about, can you enter the draw to see him training, and they invited us down, and that was interesting, but I'm not that bothered about meeting the players. I don't know why. I'd rather see them performing on the pitch and scoring goals and doing the business and great. There's sometimes a phrase, old Chinese proverb that say, "Don't meet your gilt-edged heroes, because sometimes the gilt falls off." So you're sometimes better off, seeing everybody as footballers and doing it, and away you go.
The book, Playing for England, it does say that, it takes us up to about 2000, early 2001. Have you any plans to do another one?
I think it's inevitable. It's not happened yet, and it's not in progress or whatever. Right. And one of the reasons, I think, was that to make it a success, you've got to have backing. It's like the records. You've got to have an awful lot of backing from a publisher, and that sort of makes it a success. So I've got to question myself as to why I want to write it. It was, the first one's just a record of the funny stories and feelings of winning and losing and all the rest of it. And the second one, probably would be the same. But if it was picked up by a publisher, that would probably give me a spur to do it. And if not, it'll happen one day. It's one of those things. I mean, we did also have a playwright called Alan Plater who wrote Through the Coalhouse Door, and he got commissioned by Yorkshire Telly to do a comedy series about us, which would be a perfect cross between and a film would be like this as well. And it might help listeners to explain out what we like. If you've seen The Full Monty,
yes, and
you've seen Brassed Off, and you've seen Fever Pitch, and you merge the whole three films together, you get us. It's as simple as that. And he'd sort of cottoned on to this, and he'd written this comedy series, like I say, commissioned by Yorkshire TV, and then he unfortunately died a few years ago.
All right.
So that's somewhere in the archives and not happened. But that would be that film would be a scream if it was true to what has happened over the years. It would be hilarious. But yeah, the book probably will happen, maybe in retirement or something like that.
Well, you say retirement. How long do you see the band continuing?
Well, like I said, we had Bram Denton, who was our saxophonist, died, and he died at 90, and he was still going to the games up till he was 88. So I mean, it's all right saying it, and might not even be here at 88, but we'll go as long as we can, and as long as we're driven by the passion, which that flame's not dying. It's as simple as that. So yeah, we'll be keeping going for as long as possible. There's another one. We do the women as well now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and we did the World Cup in France last year. Fantastic. It's just brilliant, honestly. Completely different to the men's, but really, really good. Really good in all kinds of different reasons. Yeah. But really, really fantastic experience. You go to the women's games. After the game, they walk around and sign autographs and have selfies and stuff like that. You just can't imagine it with the men. Different crowd altogether, but great. The crowds are so enthusiastic because a lot of them, it's the first game, first time they've been, because they can go and they feel safe. And again, they've got preconceptions of football crowds, wrongly or rightly. They all think they're going to hear swearing and get beaten up and all the rest of it. And they know with the women's game, they can go and relax and no problems and be as enthusiastic as they want. So as far as we're concerned, the response is just awesome.
John, thank you very much for your time. And when we're all allowed back in, it'd be good to say hello rather than on a screen. Well, please do, yeah. And same with everybody else. When people contact us on social media, we always say, come up and say hello. We absolutely just like any other fan on the terrace. I mean, get ready for a bit of banter, but it's just the same as anybody else. Come and say hello, and we've got all the mates around us as well, and it's it's just one big happy family. Like I say, we're all in it together. Thank you as always for listening, and if you think you know of someone who would enjoy listening to it, why not tell them about it? You can find the podcast on social media, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Just search 3 Lions Podcast. Or, if you'd like to drop me a line on email, 3lionspodcast@gmail.com. Always good to hear from you. And you can find all the older episodes at 3lionspodcast.com or your chosen podcast provider. And if there's an option to leave a review, it's always appreciated. Leave it what you think it deserves. Thank you very much to John for his time. They're very much appreciated. I hope you've enjoyed it. Perhaps like me, your opinion may have changed slightly. I don't know. Maybe the next time you see the guys, give them a nod and a wave. Maybe tell them you heard the podcast. And I did mention John's book. It's called Playing for England, The Early Years by John Hemmingham. And you can still pick it up on the likes of Amazon. It's an easy read, just how we like them. And the amount we've spoken about the band, yet we've not heard a note played. So, to play us out, the England Band. Cheers!